There's a lot to make me believe we're in backwards times where you can have a character that never had a true moment in comic books within their own right, their own miniseries, their own series, but a character that just always had to be around bigger characters. The character gets animated, he gets action figures. No one cares about the first time he's in animation. Action figures never become rare or in demand. And that's Kraven. Sure, he's got Kraven's Last Hunt. That's his seminal story in The Amazing Spider-Man. But he also commits suicide. He doesn't live through his own best storyline. But then we get a movie. A movie where Sony invests $130 million to make this character relevant. And this is the third time they're doing this. So we gotta talk about it. Because we are living in backward times.
Quiet on the set!
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
Action!
We gotta go. We gotta get right into this, my AKA power. So let me just get a little sip of this. I get a little tickle in my throat because I just feel like I've been talking so much recently. I want to get right into it. With the new Venom movie, The Last Dance, we relatively have 3 movies, 3 separate storylines. You know, characters kind of come, you know, some of the supporting characters weave and bob throughout those 3 movies. So we kind of have a Venom universe in 3 movies. For example, Carnage and so on and so forth. Whole mythology around Venom. Then we get Madam Web, who, in the larger part, in the scheme and the context of that movie, is a immensely powerful character. See through time, see other dimensions. We have Mobius, who is also in his movie immensely powerful, nearly invincible. And we have Kraven, immensely powerful, nearly invincible. Everything I just broke down to you, these characters have wild origins. Like, Kraven's origin in this movie is so freaking good. He has daddy issues and he has mommy issues. He's got brother issues. He's literally alone in the world, lives like an animal, and then gets caught up with some criminals. He's got to protect his family, and he's got to do some bad things. He's perfectly positioned as an anti-hero, as is Morbius, as is Venom. 7 movies worth of characters, recognizable names, faces. I love that this movie is overseas, because even between Madam Web's like New York, Venom San Francisco, Morbius is jungle, but office, you know, hospital, lab. But then we have all of Europe. Like, we're all over Europe in this movie. So even setting-wise, 7 movies, each one really is distinct. Live Venom 3, The Last Dance, we're in the desert. It's all yellow and flat plains. This movie, too, has some... I mean, who's our cinematographer? Ben Davis. Ben Davis has some shots in this movie. Yeah. He did Captain Marvel, Dumbo, Eternals. You can say what you want about Eternals. Eternals just looks incredible. Doctor Strange, Wrath of the Titans. I love that. He's been at it since 2002. Seasoned guy. This movie's directed by J.C. Chandor, who I've seen almost all of his movies except for one. All Is Lost, the Robert Redford 2013 movie. Margin Call 2011, great movie. The Most Violent Year 2014, great movie. Triple Frontier 2019, we've done that here. Great movie. Kraven the Hunter, great movie. This movie's great, guys. Sony took a character that cannot even have his own collected edition and made the character into something. You want Aaron Taylor Johnson to continue this role. He looks it, he feels it. Everyone in this movie has an accent. It's all sellable. You buy it all. It's incredible. Does the movie flow into or get into, it feels formulaic, or it feels like we're going through the beats and emotions? Some of it, yeah. But even his childhood friend, this girl he meets, Calypso, who does become... Calypso storyline-wise is bigger than Kraven is, comic book-wise. Calypso eclipsed Kraven, and she emulates Kraven's design or uniform or costume. She's almost like a female Doctor Strange in some ways, or more of a voodoo practitioner. Very much like the voodoo girl in Pirates of the Caribbean, but kind of like a shaman. Kraven cannot fill up his own collected edition. They've tried to update Kraven in the comics. They did Kraven 2. During the time, they also did Vulture 2, Scorpion 2. None of these took hold, by the way. Spider-Man did hit when we get into the late 90s and we get into the early 2000s. A little bit of a, he spun out of creative control, just rudderless. But they were also producing 5 to 6 Spider-Man titles a month at Marvel. They couldn't even get Kraven to stick. So you get all these movies. Movies, Madam Web, Venom, Kraven. What am I leaving out? And you can put them together. You introduce some new elements, another new character or two. You can put them together in a movie. Because I feel when it comes to origin movies, Kraven is as good as Captain America. Thor is as good as Morbius, and so on and so forth. People will just go to Iron Man. They'll go to that Jon Favreau movie and get all in on it. Like Masterpiece, one of the best movies of all time. Like 7. Oh, that's true. Sony movies. One of them just really had to pop in audience attendance and fanfare and critics. It just, like, all the pillars had to be there for success. The success of the MCU's Iron Man really carried over into Avengers. But if we go through the release tracking of all the MCU movies, there's successful pops that carry things over, right? It's almost like a roller coaster. Like MCU would dip for a movie or two, and then boom, Winter Soldier. Dip, boom, Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Technically, Sony, those animated movies, those were the pops. Could they have rolled in more of the live action into the animation and forwards and backwards? I think so. Maybe that was a part of it. I don't know. But I also feel like we could have got like a live action Prowler movie from Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. So it's a little bit nutty, AKAPADers, where we get some very talented individuals, people who gave us amazing character design, great costume design, by the way. I love what Kraven wears in this movie. I think the style and the fashion is dead on. But we get this cool factor with Kraven. I mean, this dude looks so good on camera. He really does. He looks lethal. We buy him as lethal. He is ruthless. It's amazing that this movie is as bloody and violent that it is. But the internet, everything. Yeah, everything. This movie was delayed 2-3 years. You kept hearing about it. A lot of times when that happens, people just walk away. They just lose interest. But we get this cool factor with a character that really has never had it in comics. The comic book world has had since the 60s to make Kraven something. And the only way that they could make him something was by killing him. That's the crazy truth. I back this movie, AKAPADers. I think it's emotionally deep. It's emotionally complex. It's got great action. Fantastic to look at. I like the melodrama. I like his relationship with Calypso. It's a step into a wider world. You get that feeling, as you did with Morbius. Dare I say, as you did with Madam Web. People, a lot of people went on record saying this was the worst of all of these movies. I'm not looking at any of them that way. I think a crossover movie would have popped, or a crossover series with all these characters, like a 12-episode, 12-hour crazy epic where they get to Peter Parker, where they get to the true Spider-Man side of all of this. I don't know, AKAPADers. I think a lot of people were wrong about this one.
Okay, that's a wrap.